Welcome back to Power CEOs, Truth Behind the Business. If you're just tuning in, you're going to want to go to nowmedia.tv, click on shows, and catch the first half of this epic show. But now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, we are going to shift gears because after the break, we always talk a little bit AI. And I have an amazing human being here with me who has quite revolutionized a little bit of AI. We're going to talk about the business of humanized AI, automating sales and customer engagement with my friend, entrepreneur, investor, and growth strategist, David Asarnow. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Jen, for having me. I'm so excited. We're going to have some fun. We geeked out a little bit beforehand.
We sure did. I can't wait. I mean, David, you've been known for helping businesses to grow through marketing strategy, through funnel optimization, but now you're at the forefront of something really interesting that we happen to talk about a lot, AI. But even more fascinating, you've dived into AI with a human touch. Talk to me a little bit about your technology.
So our company is Sababa Global, and the whole concept here is if we could have the best human-like conversation with a company's prospect or their customer on the front end, and we were able to integrate behavioral science, ethical influence, and actually have empathy where people would walk away from that conversation feeling good, we've accomplished something. And that's really what we set out to do. And I believe we're doing a pretty good job with it.
You know, folks, I'm just going to tell you, I had the ability to have a phone call with your AI, and it was fascinating how it listened better than humans do in many cases. And so, talk to me a little bit about what that experience is like for our viewers.
It, the whole idea, if you think about what do humans want when they're having a conversation, they want to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, when they're having a conversation, unfortunately, are listening to respond. And so while someone's talking, they're thinking about what they're going to say next. The great thing, if you train an artificial intelligence, you can train it to listen to everything that someone has, ask clarifying questions, repeat back and acknowledge what the person is saying, and then respond with the answer. And if we could train all of our team members to do that, it would be wonderful. And that's exactly what our intent is with artificial intelligence.
So you're basically diving into something that's very human, and that's communication.
Yes.
And a lot of times as humans, you're right, we listen to respond. We're not actually listening to understand, to make sure we understand. And validation is something that all humans need. They need to be heard. They need to be validated in whatever their concerns or their questions are. And they want to know that you are the one who heard them and you've created that. So talk to me a little bit about how do humans react to this, and how do we teach our teams to interact in this space? Because before the break, we were talking about how challenging it is for many people, especially our tech teams,
yes,
to have that communication skill set. So what does that look like?
Well, to answer to your first question is how do people respond? A lot of times I'll do a custom demo for someone just to show them, hey, imagine if this was answering your phone, what the experience would be like. And I said, just play with it. Here's my phone, play with it. And so many times it's amazing. People say afterwards, they say, wow, I wish my own people would respond like your technology is. And so when someone is actually having a kind of experience, to us, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool because they're getting the experience that we want them to get. And when you think about it, artificial intelligence never takes a day off. It doesn't have a bad day. It doesn't oversleep. It doesn't call in sick. And yet, when I talk to clients, I'm like, we're not looking to replace your humans. We're looking at people to let your humans do what humans do best, to think, to critically think, to challenge, to be able to add an elevated support and let the AI do the base level foundational work for you.
You know, one of the biggest challenges that I find in businesses is speed to answer leads, speed to call in the sales process. And this is one of the problems you're solving. The other big pain point is I've called customer service and I can't talk to a human and I can't get anybody and it takes forever to get back. And it seems like you've solved both of these problems. Talk to me a little bit about how you're working with clients and partnering really in solving some of their greatest issues, which is the answering the sales call and capturing that lead and bringing them into the sales funnel, and then also on the customer satisfaction side.
Well, when you look at it, it's really the reason that we developed this technology. Having a business growth agency for 15 plus years, clients always say that they want leads, but really what they want is sales. And so when we were driving leads to people, and if their team didn't convert the leads, sales always says, well, that's a bad quality lead. Not taking consideration, they're not responding to the phone call for 72 hours. And in sales, we say time kills deals. And what that's how we that's why we developed this technology. When I first heard artificial intelligence, I was like, how do we solve this? I know this is going to revolutionize things, and that's why we created the technology.
So now let's talk brass tacks. What are the
Yeah.
metrics that we as business owners want to be thinking about? Because one of the things we talk about a lot on our AI segment is we need a business use case, which we've defined. Okay,
Yes.
time to lead, answering the lead, getting that first touch point. But how do we assess whether this is actually enhancing our time to lead and helping with our conversion rate and closing those deals? What do we need to be paying attention before we integrate? And then if we were to utilize a technology such as yours?
You're right. And the funny thing is, most companies don't track their metrics.
You're so right. We're trying to fix that.
So what should you be looking at, right? When you're looking at it, you need to know, okay, how fast does it take? How many people are put on hold? How many people are dropping off when the phones aren't answered right away? And then look at the number of conversations and booked appointments. So you actually have a baseline metric, because you're never going to know what's improving unless you have a baseline metric. So you need to know whether the AI is booking appointments for you, or if it's selling a small ticket item for you, a paid appointment. It can do all of that. And based upon what I've seen, you should be able to experience about a 20% or greater increase. And it's because every call is answered live. Every call is communicated with at your highest level training you possibly can. And that's what I would look for is about a 20% or higher greater efficiency. And customer satisfaction is going to increase because people aren't sitting there in a phone tree. The AI can answer the call, have a direct conversation with someone, and find out what their needs, what their challenges are, what their desires are, and then create that message to market match, matching them to your company so they can see before they even had that next conversation of the appointment, I'm in the right place. And that's what we do.
And I think that's really, really fabulous. And I'm going to ask the next question, because this is something that we talk about a lot. We want to have a business use case. We want to know what we're looking at and what our goal target is. So in this case, maybe a 20% increase in efficiency, just for the sake of easy numbers.
Yes.
As we're thinking about this, what do we need to know to train it? Because I see this all the time. If you can't train a person, you can't expect an AI to be trained either. So what do people need to be thinking about in order to integrate something such as this?
And I'm laughing here because it's like you're in my mind when we're launching off a client and we say, can we have your sales training documents that you use for the team, for the position that this is going to replace? And I can count on less than one hand the times that people have been able to give that to us.
Yep.
And they're like, well, can't you just do it? I said, let me ask you a question. How do you expect your humans to do it? Well, we give them call recordings. Well, just giving them call recordings, a successful call, doesn't help them think critically and saying, if someone comes with this pain challenge problem, this is how I address it. So it takes more time. And so if you're doing this right now and you're thinking, how do I do it? What do I need to do? How would you train your best employee? How would they show up every single day and communicate how you want them to communicate? What questions would you want them to ask? And if someone had a frequently asked question, how would they respond to differentiate you from the other companies out there? And so start thinking through that. One way to do it is take some of your best calls and listen to them and seeing how your best people are responding. Then take things that didn't work so well. Why didn't they work so well? What questions did they have that weren't answered properly, and make sure that those are answered. And creating that. Now, how are we doing it? We're interviewing clients, because many times we don't get that. We'll take the phone calls, we'll get them transcribed, we'll have common frequently asked questions put together. What AI looks at is the best responses to that. Then we'll create that document, and as we call the knowledge base, and we'll have the client then, oh, well, that's not really what it should say. Great. So the onboarding process is really creating the best training manual for a human or artificial intelligence, because the quality of your artificial intelligence, just like the quality of your business, is based upon the quality of your communication.
That's exactly right. I couldn't agree more. We do have to take a brief break, but folks, I want you to pay attention to what he said, because it doesn't matter whether you're onboarding a person or you're onboarding an AI employee, if you will, because that's really what they are. They're AI employees. You have to have that knowledge base to train. You need to understand what is the actual process, what is the successful outcome, and how that is happening, whether you're training a human or an AI model. And then you can actually work with people such as David and get that implemented into your systems. So, David, how can people reach out to you if they'd like to learn more?
Sababa.global, SABABA.global. If they want to connect with me on Instagram, it's Dave Asarnow. And I think the spelling's on the screen. Or on LinkedIn or on X, it's David Asarnow.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll be right back after these brief messages.